Shalom, everyone, and welcome back. In this week's Torah portion of Va'era, we read about how Pharaoh, king of Israel, was so obstinate that he would refuse to let the Jewish people go from slavery. And Moses brought down many plagues to Egypt, and after each plague, Pharaoh said, okay, I'll let the Jews go, but then very quickly he changed his mind. And the Torah uses the term of Hichbadati Eslev Paro. He hardened Pharaoh's heart. What does that mean, he hardened Pharaoh's heart? Commentaries explain that he took Pharaoh away from his power of free choice. Pharaoh had no more free choice. For the first several plagues, he did have free choice. He could have let them go if he wanted to, but he changed his mind. But then God said, you know what, Pharaoh? You are so wicked, so evil, that I am going to come down on you the full measure of punishment by not allowing you to have free choice anymore. I'm taking away your free choice, so you don't have a choice as far as letting the Jewish people go. How is it possible for a person not to have free choice anymore? After all, that's something that every person has. Jew or non-Jew, we all have our freedom of choice. In Hebrew, we call it bechira chavshis, free choice, the ability to choose right or wrong. Everyone has that ability. How is it possible that Pharaoh no longer had that ability? But we find throughout history that there were many people who seemingly lost their free choice. In modern days, Hitler, Yimach Shemo, Stalin, and so many others, wicked people, went beyond the call of duty in their power of wickedness, that it would have made no sense for them to change their mind. For example, Hitler, there was a time that Hitler was actually winning the war. He was winning the war, and he continued persecuting the Jews. Even towards the end, when the war was being lost, he still continued persecuting the Jews. He kept the trains going and the crematoriums running, when he should have put his power and his influence and his money into fighting the war. But he didn't. It's as if some power took hold of him, that he had no ability anymore to change his mind. In Hasidic philosophy, we're told that there are three types of people. There are the righteous people, called tzaddikim. There are the wicked, called rishayim, and there are the intermediate ones, the beinanim. The righteous people are people who really have no free choice. They have conquered their evil inclination, and it doesn't give them any more trouble. They are not motivated anymore by evil. They're not tempted by anything bad at all. They are purely motivated by their good inclination, their yetzer tov. The evil people, on the other hand, the Rishayim, on the other hand, are the exact opposite. They are no longer motivated at all by their good inclination, and they're only motivated completely by their evil inclination. Such as a person who is a mafioso. He, at first, when he killed somebody, well, he felt a little bad about it. He couldn't sleep. It was bothering him. The second person, less so. And the third person and the fourth person already, he had no problems with it. He could go just as easily and kill one person as 100, such as the cartel, the Mexican cartel. They go and they kill people wantonly. They don't care about it. They don't worry about it. They didn't lose any sleep over it. I remember many years ago in San Diego, there was a fellow who was a murderer. He killed several children in San Diego, and then afterwards he simply sat down and ate their hamburgers. How is it possible for a person to do something like that? Or we find in recent days the Idaho murderer. How is it possible for someone to go ahead and kill 4 innocent kids and then feel nothing for it? How is such a thing possible? But we find people do that all the time because they have lost their power of good. It no longer bothers them anymore. But most people aren't like that. Most people go ahead and they are motivated by goodness, and they do not have a yetzer hara to really push them to do anything bad at all, but they're only motivated by the good. I would suspect that most of us would not go ahead and rob a bank. even if we were had terrible financial troubles, to walk past a bank and to say, you know what, I'm going to rob the bank. I would never do such a thing. Something like that would never occur to me. To rob a bank or to hurt somebody else, to kill somebody else, certainly not. How is such a thing even possible? The vast majority of us would never do something like that. And when it happens, it hits the newspapers. Everyone is amazed. How is it possible for someone to do something so horrendous like that? It's completely out of character. And the answer is that sometimes God takes away our free choice. When we go ahead and act in a way that is a bad way, then God takes away our free choice. Says, okay, I'm no longer going to give you free choice anymore. You're going to go ahead on automatic pilot, and you are going to do bad. In the same way, a person is a good person also loses their free choice to a great degree. They're not motivated anybody by evil. For me, for example, to go into a car on Shabbos is unheard of. I would never do something like that. I remember one time there was a terrible rainstorm, and I was walking down the street on Shabbos, and according to halacha, you can't even use an umbrella. And someone passed me by in a car. It was pouring rain, and said, "Rabbi, come on in. I'll give you a ride home." It wouldn't even occur to me to do something like that. Why? Because I'm not motivated by that anymore. That I go on automatic pilot. To go into a car on Shabbos, unheard of. To put on tefillin in the morning, something I always do. I would not even think of not doing it. It's something that I always do. To eat something not kosher, unheard of, ridiculous. I would never do something like that. I'm not programmed that way anymore to do something like that. Maybe one time I might have, maybe, but certainly when I was a kid, but not anymore for years and years. Once you start doing a mitzvah, you continue doing the mitzvah. And the avera, the transgression, no longer is part of who we are. We need to get to that level where being a religious Jew, a pious Jew, an observant Jew, is something which is an automatic thing, with something that does not really change us in any way, but that's the very nature of who we are. So I want to wish you all a good Shabbos, and candle lighting in San Diego this Shabbos is at 4:51. Good Shabbos, and we'll see you next week.